The connection currency is real. Who do you know, and how
Hmm.
can you, because of that knowing,
Yeah,
make some good money? So
yeah, yeah.
Rob was just telling me about somebody he knows that really wants to know other people, and that there may be money in the margin. So we're going to be talking about the connection currency. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. So, hey everyone, we're back. We're going to be talking about the connection currency. So, how do you leverage a connection without it seeming a little weird, right? And I think that there's equity in the margins of every opportunity. And this is something that I have been wanting to do, but I didn't know how to spin it up. I've got some domains around this, but the connection currency is real. Who do you know, and how
Hmm.
can you, because of that knowing,
Yeah,
make some good money? So
yeah, yeah.
Rob was just telling me about somebody he knows that really wants to know other people, and that there may be money in the margin. So we're going to be talking about the connection currency. How do you get out there and start making money from the people that you know and meet and that know you? How can you do
Yeah.
it, Rob? So give us some
So
advice on that, the connection currency.
I think one of the things that's interesting about this, right? I think mindset is where we always start with anything that we're talking about. And I want to kind of throw this out there. I want to see what you think. I think I know where you are, but I want to see what you think on this. There are a lot of people. I was talking to a guy the other day, and they were talking about how, business is dog eat dog and it's cutthroat and it's, you got to watch your back and you got to take
Yeah.
care of yourself right. Like, and I've heard that a lot. And there's a lot of people that do business and operate from that way. And I was wondering, like, I feel like there's another way, but I wanted to ask you because I know you've been in business a lot longer than I have. What's your impression? Where do you sit on that kind of experience of the business world?
Well, I'm of the mind that there's some truth to that, in that, everybody's looking for a leverage moment, right? And they may have a puzzle that's reasonably complete, and you come along and you're talking about some new thing, and it's just that puzzle piece. So then you feel a certain way when they spin it up because they've got some money, or they've got some whatever it is that they can run with it. So
Hmm.
so I think some people get a little jaded by that. It's like, man, that was my
Hmm.
idea. Well, my
Hmm.
belief is that why didn't you run with it? Why didn't you
Hmm.
go fast? Why didn't you do your MVPs? Now you don't have to go get, trademarks and all that kind of stuff if you don't want to, because they're really worthless. If you come with the mind that there's a, scarcity that is scarcity, then you're going to get that back, right? Now that's not to say that you don't have some feelings of protection, right? Hey, he's a handsome guy. I'm gonna introduce him to my girlfriend. Well, you might lose her. Okay, it's possible. But the
Right,
point
right,
is,
right.
the point is, right? So you don't be foolish with your stuff, right? But
And,
I,
and,
th-
and
I
see, it's interesting there, but I think what I'm getting you said is you got to have a certain level of situational awareness, is what I'm hearing you say.
you
Does that
do.
sound about right?
You just do. You know
Yeah.
when the fox is coming to eat your hens, or he just wants
Hmm.
to see your hens.
Right, right. Now,
Maybe he
now
wants to offer
there was some
protection. Who knows?
there was something you said there that I thought was really important, which was a lot of that is born out of a scarcity mindset, and I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that so many people go into business not understanding. And shout out to Tank and Jay Valentine on the R&B Money podcast. I just watched the R&B Money podcast episode with Harmony Samuels. If you don't know who Harmony Samuel is, phenomenal producer. Like, think of anything hot in the last like 10, 15 years, and he probably been affiliated with it in some way, shape, or
Really?
form. And I mean, when I'm talking about hot, like big smashes, produced The Way by Ariana Grande, her first big #1 single, produced oh my God, the list is off my head right now. I'm
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah. I've
about all the
watched
stuff
that
they talked
podcast.
about
I
in it.
like it.
Yeah, but he's done a whole bunch. But the key thing about it, one of the things he was talking about, and they were kind of talking about this in the podcast, is like there are people that will try to do you wrong and try to do things and all the rest of that type of stuff. But one of the things if you have a scarcity mindset, you think that they can actually take something from you,
Yeah.
right? It feels like they can actually take something that's quote unquote yours. But an abundance mindset really looks at it in a different way. And this is the way I look at business. Like, I don't have competition. But I was sitting down and I was talking to another coach that I'm talking to right now. And we were just, a friend of mine, and we were talking, and I told him, I'm like, I'm never worried about somebody taking something from me. And the main reason why is because you can't do what I do. So even if you take the idea and you do it and you make it amazing, great. That's amazing. Because here's the reality. That means that there was something about you that made it great, and it went and it was amazing. When I had it, it wasn't great.
Mm.
When you had it, it became great. Now,
Mhm.
similarly, if I go do something like it, it'll be great because of me, or vice versa. And I don't walk into these situations with the idea that someone can take something from me. Now, to
Mhm.
your point, also don't walk into these situations like I'm not going to walk down the street with my money just hanging out my pocket, or flossing and all the rest of this in the middle
Situational
of the hood,
awareness.
like this situational awareness, right?
Nobody's
I'm a
gonna
Marine,
rob
like
me.
like like
I'm
like
tough. Okay.
and not even exactly. It's not even so much that nobody's gonna rob, but like you get to a certain point where, and I learned this from Hiron Gracie, right? So Hiron Gracie is grandson of Elio Gracie, son of Rorion Gracie, the guy who created UFC, Gracie Jiu Jitsu, whole deal. And one of the things that Hiron talked about was like, you have to get to a certain point where you start to understand, like, even getting robbed, or even all those types of things, like, you can't take it as personal as, right? Because you take it personal, you will literally fight for your life over this thing that ain't, like, it's $15 or it's $1,500, whatever it is. You
Mhm.
can go make another $1,500. You can't make another life, right?
Mhm.
But some people will get so frustrated, so angry, like, no, you ain't about to, and then they get shot, right? Instead of just, here you go, right? Whatever the case may be. And I still struggle with that, like, because there's a piece of me that's like, but they might shoot me anyway and take my money, so I might as well die fighting. Like,
Yeah. I saw that
there's
the
a lot
other
of that
day.
that's in there,
Somebody they got shot anyway.
right? Right. And so one of the things is, but when you're looking at it in non-life or death situations, when we're just talking about money, right? It's understanding that this isn't the end of the story, right? Understanding that that there's more to come around. So the reason I went to the R&B Money podcast was because one of the interesting things about it was the Harmony was telling the story of how he came up with that sound that he did on Ariana Grande's uh, record, right?
Mhm.
And it was basically him saying, he was like, he was in this space where he needed um like he needed to feel like R&B was like good again. And he was like, what made me, what do I want to hear on the radio? And it was like back to the Mariah Carey days in the 90s, and the type of music that was there. And so he started putting some stuff together. And he had actually pitched a bunch of songs to Jordan Sparks, right?
I remember Jordan. Yeah.
And Jordan Sparks was the new it thing. She was coming up. She was about to be, and the radio station, the label, said that the songs were trash. They were like, nah, bring us something. That right there, that's not hot. Like, go away, bounce with that. So he's like, man, really? Like, how you not feeling? Like this is amazing, right? And so, um, he went back to the studio, and 18 months later, he's working with Ariana Grande. They're loving it. 2 days before he's about to drop the way for Ariana Grande, the label calls him back like, "Hey, bro, like, can we get that record?" He's like, "Wait, what? Like, you told me it's trash. What you talking about? What you calling me trying to get the record?" He's like, "I need that record. Like, whatever you could do. Like, can we pay you 5 times what they paid you to get the record?" And he's like, bro, you don't want to pay me 5 times because like they pay me a nice amount of money. It ain't worth 5 times. But what happened? And then so he finds out that what happened was somebody else who they trust, heard heard the record and told them, you got to go get that record. It's a hit,
Mm.
right? And so the interesting thing about it was, in the moment, the person who heard it couldn't understand it, couldn't appreciate it, couldn't see the value.
Mhm.
But somebody they appreciated saw the value, and so they came back, but they had missed their opportunity. But if you look at it from the perspective of where he was and what he was doing, like, you could feel slighted, you could feel like, oh, I can't stand them, blah blah blah, because they told him this record was trash, right? Or you could look fast forward, and now they're paying him more money to get just records just like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because he was able to see,
Sure.
like, right, you don't like it, that's cool. Somebody gonna like it, we gonna go. And I feel like with business, right, it's all about understanding that you don't have competition, you have collaborators.
Mhm.
Everybody that's out there is somebody you could collaborate with. I heard Myron Golden say this, and it blew my mind. It was like, I would rather have 50% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape,
Yeah, I've heard that in so many different ways. I'd rather have
right?
10% of a watermelon than a whole bunch of a grape because you get more.
Exactly, right? Because at the end of the day, 100% you own it. It's yours. Nobody can take it from you. But it's this small. Or you
Yeah.
could have half of this and now everybody eat.
Yeah. It's so interesting when you talk about, and even when we think about the connection currency, because one person saying, hey, I think I have something that's good, but yet, and they don't see the value. So and then they knew someone, they were connected to someone else that did see the value. And the currency is within that person's okaying it, or that person's
Exactly.
co-signing it, or that person. It is so interesting that you say that.
Exactly.
So I remember I went on this big streak of joint venturing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them didn't work for a
Mm-hmm.
variety of reasons. But the idea of, and a couple of them I'm still salty about, that I'm still salty about because they cost me a grip, right? But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the experience was, like no other,
That's the
because you
thing.
get access to who they know. And sometimes you
Yeah.
get two things happen. You either get dirt on you because of them, right? So you think about the people that knew Bernie Madoff, the people that know FTX, everybody's trying to go, I know that guy. But then they got pictures. They're saying, well, we see you right here. You're
Right.
sitting next to him. He's
You
got
see, you
shorts
got your
on.
arm around him smiling. Teasing.
And so you either get dirt on you or you get some shine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's opportunity within that. So when we think about how do you then, I can't say that joint venturing is the best way to go. Partnering is the best way to go because it comes inherent with everyone's own whatevers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? But to your point, that scarcity mindset can keep you from opportunity. So if you're listening out
Yeah.
there, entrepreneurs, tell us what you think about that. Do you think firstly, in the comment section, how many joint ventures or how many togethernesses or whatever you want to call them, right? Collaborations have you had? How many do you still have right now? We don't need to know about your marriages.
Ah,
But how many are still going and what have you found from them that's working?
yeah.
And I keep
Yeah.
hearing this. Hey, look, when they break up, that's
Mm-hmm.
the reason why they go bad. But for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
they can't stay together.
And again, I think a lot of it, like we talked about mindset, scarcity versus abundance. If you're constantly looking at the last thing like it's going to be your best, right? Again, from this episode, um, and so they dropping different producers and everything. So Rodney Jerkins, aka Darkchild, super
I
producer,
remember Rodney.
anything
Yeah,
in the
he was
90s, in
crushing
the
it back in
early
the day.
2000s, right? Brandy's album, right? Just some of everything, right? But he told him, he was like, because he was kind of Harmony's mentor as he was coming up. He was like, if you're really great, you can do it again, right? And
Ooh.
he's like, that stuck with me. And I think for a lot of people, right, there's this narrative that like, was my chance, was
If
my
you're
shot.
truly great, you can do it
If
again.
you're
I
truly
think there
great,
was a
you can do
book
it
out
again.
there called "If You Once You're Lucky, Twice You're Good" or something like that.
Yeah, and it's the same idea. And he basically was like, and he didn't say you could do it again. He said you could make another one. That's what he said, right? If you're truly great, you can make another one. So don't sweat this song. Don't fall in love with this song and think this is your ticket out. But if you're really great, you'll make another one just like that, right? And that's the thing that I think a lot of people struggle with. It's like, what are you trying to be? Are you trying to be 15 minutes of fame? Are you trying to be just barely got there? Are you trying to be a business person that just made some money? Or are you trying to do this thing for real? Because the thing that I realized is, there's a ton of stuff that I've done in the time that I've been in business. A whole bunch of it I haven't gotten paid for, right? And it wasn't I didn't get paid for because I didn't demand pay or because the people that I was doing it for, the people I was helping, all the rest of that, they couldn't pay. Like the value proposition, it was already more value than they could even think about paying me for, even if I would have charged them. And that wasn't the point. But the relationships that I got from that, the fact that people now know me, the fact that I have made an imprint on people, those things come back years later. There are people that are doing business with me now that bought my book 4 years ago and are now like, hey, I got your book and I introduced you to this person. Like those types of things happen. And I think for a lot of people, what they're worried about is the here and now. And so the first thing that I would say, besides mindset, right, and thinking about abundance, is realizing if you're an entrepreneur, this is what you're doing. This is who you are. And you're a collaborator, you're a creator, you're someone who's bringing change, and you're bringing yourself to situations. And like you said, when you do these collaborations, when you do these things, even if it doesn't make money, the experience is invaluable. Because here's the thing. Let's say you write a hit song, right? Let's say you collaborate on something that's amazing. And even if you make no money off of it, you now know what the process is of collaborating on something that is amazing.
That's right.
That sets you head and shoulders apart from everybody else that's trying to do it for the first time. Right? It was an invaluable experience for me when I wrote my first book, right? I paid $15,000 to do everything I need to do to write my first book. Now, the book has not made $15,000. Now, I have made more than $15,000 based on stuff that I've done with the book.
Listen, y'all, I gotta jump in. You don't make money. I was talking to a guy that has, I got 9 books. And he says, I says, you don't make money from writing a book. You make money from having written.
Exactly. And in that process, I got to meet so many different people. I got to see so many different people. One of the people that was mentoring me ran a 10-figure business, had a business that was on the Inc. 5,000 list 3 years in a row, right? Just watching how they move, just being in that space, just hearing the conversations. There's so much that I learned that was more than just writing the book. Like I'm forever indebted. I'm forever grateful for being in those spaces.
There's currency in the connection.
Yes.
Right. This is what we keep pounding home today. Currency in the connection. Right now, I say I'm sanitizing. Now you can say money in the meeting, whatever you want to call it. Right. But there's opportunity, y'all, and don't miss out on it. Right. Don't miss out on it. I miss out on stuff a lot because sometimes I can't make the connection or I don't want to. Right. Sometimes you go, well, I realize that there's value of being the bird that's on the ground versus the one that's in the air. Now, could I get in the air? Yeah, but I just like what's going on down here, whatever it is, right?
And it's and where you like to be is fine, right? But you're in your connections, you're useful as the bird on the ground. You do a lot of stuff where because you know people, they come to you and like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Hey, can you do it? And you're that guy.
I like to let them know that they can fly.
Exactly, right. And I like the thing that's interesting for me, right? When you're looking at the connections that you're building, it's so crazy because you don't know where those connections will go, right? Again, this connection that the guy that I'm introducing you to, the guy that we're talking about, like that was a relationship that started 2018. Because of that connection and that relationship, I met another person that became a mutual friend of ours, and now we all started working together. Because of that connection, I now met this person, but also because of that connection, there were 3 years where we worked together on something joint venture. We were going this way, and then nothing happened. And then in my business, I was like, hey, I can offer this product that you all have in a little bit different way, but I can offer it to my clients. And now I can sell that product. They make money. I make money. They do most of the client fulfillment. I teach the initial course. They do all the training and all the rest of that after the fact. And this is 4 years after we thought about working together and all the rest of that. And I literally have a ready-made course that I don't have to do a lot of work in, but gives my clients immense value.
That's incredible,
because of a connection.
Man. That's when we can. You remember, I just wrote a little diagram back in the days that says who knows who, and then back in the sports days it says who is related to Bill Walsh. In that he comes from their family tree. You know what I mean? I mean, it's this quarterback,
the coaching tree. Yep.
This offensive coordinator, and then the run and shoot days. It was Mouse Davis, and it was all these different. So when you start thinking about this from the business standpoint, is you can kind of do a diagram. You could say, well, I met Rob because my finance guy introduced me to Rob. And as a result of meeting Rob, I says, I think he would be good for, another situation. They call him up and hire him to do a thing. He could say, I literally got money in my pocket from you saying, these are people you want to know.
Yep.
Right. And we can all how many situations do we put ourselves in? So this is the conversation today, is how many situations can you put yourself in that you, it at least enhance or leverage the currency opportunity from having met somebody. Dig into who you know and then who they might know. Now, if you hanging around a whole bunch of turkeys and you want to fly one day, well, you better get yourself some eagles. My mom used to say that, hey, you want to fly the eagles? Stop hanging with them turkeys. And I didn't get it for a long time because I was a kid. And then I realized, wait a minute, turkeys, they get eaten every year. They can't get away well. It's just a bad deal.
Right.
Eagles are over there just snatching up stuff out of the ocean.
Exactly. So one of the interesting things about that too, I think this is where a lot of people get messed up. And I remember for me in the beginning, this is back, 20 years ago when I was first starting business, this is where I had it really backwards. I was always trying to monetize connections immediately. I was trying to figure out how to make money out of connections immediately. Right? I didn't understand the power of relationship and what happened when you had stuff like that. Right. And so one of the big things that I realized when we're dealing with hold on one second for me. I'll be right. Station interruption. Folks is yelling. All right. So the interesting thing about it, like being in that space when we are trying to monetize everything, what winds up happening is you only can see the relationship through your eyes right then. I didn't even have the clients that I had 4 years ago, like just to give an idea. Clients that I have now, I didn't have 4 years ago. So there was no way for me to monetize that relationship in that way. But because we just felt like we can help. And I was like, how can I help? That was the question. And that's the question I generally, put to everybody. Ask yourself this question. How can you help? How can you be of service? How can you make things different for the group that you're working with or the person that you're meeting? But go looking for how you can help, how you can be of service, not how you can make money. Because the interesting thing about it is when you become someone that is of service, when you become someone that people are like, they can do this, they can do that, they can do this. Then when they want to pay somebody for that, guess who pops in their head?
Right. You can't have a scarcity mindset when you do that. People didn't understand. They said, why are you doing these? I used to call it work for the world Wednesdays, where I would literally spend all day just giving. Like, they're saying, hey, look, if I charge $1,000 an hour, I'm not charging you anything. How can you do that? Because it's called work for the world Wednesdays, right? It was giving without expecting anything in return. People, even to this day, still see me and go, hey, you still do those things called work for the world Wednesday? I says, yeah, I do it in a different way. I don't call it Wednesdays because I got busy on Wednesdays. But that concept still plays. I literally did a workshop the other day, a live workshop, right? And I specifically wanted it to be on Zoom for strategic reasons. I could pull up my computer in a certain way and I could show all these different, slides and get everybody all excited and all that kind of stuff. And I wasn't sure about it. Because I was testing. I wasn't sure if it would be a good show up rate. So I thought, well, it doesn't matter if 4 people show up or 400, right? If 400 didn't show up and I expected 400 and it's a live event, I'm sucking wind and now I'm feeling a certain way. But and there's so many reasons why people won't still show up to live events, blah, 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 right? So, but these with the Zoom model, I thought, let me start here. It was a great show up rate. I rocked it out, right? Crushed it. I had, Rob, kid you not, I had 5 slides.
Wow.
And it lasted 2.5 hours.
Wow.
5. Now, reason I had 5 slides, y'all, I'm gonna be totally y'all want me to be transparent? Here's the reason. I was, had hired out the building of the slides. The people did not come through. And I gave them 4 days because we get this done in a day. They did not come through, right? And one of those little outsource deals, y'all know how it is, Upwork, Fiverr, blah, 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 right? And they don't come through all the time for you. So they kept asking me for more. I said, I sent all the information. I sent the slides I wanted. I sent the pictures that I wanted on the slides, da, da, da. And it became that deal. So at the last minute, I had to do an all-nighter, create the slides, and I got 5 slides in, right? So, but here's what I found. Because of the way it is, it was going to be a 5-slide opportunity, but the 5th slide was, okay, here's what we're going to cover. First is like, are you in the right room? Who are you? Here's the reasons why, all these kind of things, why this matters. And then it was, all right, now let's dig in to the actual workshop that's interactive. Literally, man, it was so beautiful because now I was able to take each person's business, right? And they had, multiple ones that had similar businesses, and showed them how their business could be affected by this thing I'm talking about. And that made a difference. That takes up time as well. But now it was so powerful, man. I got all these 10 out of 10s and all that. Somebody tried to give me 11, but the thing, it was a 10 out of a 10. They said they wrote 10 plus more anyway. And now they're calling me. So to your point, I did this thing, I charged for it. I charged some, skin in the game money.
Yeah.
But now I got almost every one of them calling me back saying, will you work with me? So now I get a chance to bring my software, right? And I says, kind of one of those deals, get a chance to bring the software. I get a chance to now do more work with them. They don't even want to go through the organization. They want to go right to me.
Yep.
They say, I understand that they pay you to do it, but can I get you? And I'm thinking, well, let's figure something out because I'm kind of expensive. But I mean, my point is, if I had taken the attitude that, well, I don't want to give it all away. I'm not going to work for the world. I'm not going to just give thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I kept saying, look, I'm giving y'all the gold. I said, I don't see you picking up stuff. You know how I do. I said, look, I don't see nothing. I don't see no satchels out. I don't see anyway. And they were just having fun with it, man. 5 slides turned into 2.5 hours, and it gave me a chance to see a different model. Right. And I used to come with 20 slides and the whole deal, and people are like, snot, and it was not interactive and all that kind of stuff. Right. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to repeat it, and then I'm going to automate it in an automated webinar. Because I got some software that allows me to do interactive webinars, right? Kind of the Vince Reed. I kind of reverse engineered something he was doing. Vince Reed is the brothers out there saying, hey, if you're doing funnels this way and you're doing all this kind of stuff this way, that's wrong. He says the way to do it is called, and then he used the name, and I was like, I don't know that name. It was called let me double check here. IVC, IVC funnel. And I was like, what's an IVC funnel? I'm the funnel guy. I know what's going on here, Mr. Reed. So I'm going through his stuff, man. And I'm clicking on stuff. I didn't buy, but I'm clicking on stuff. What is an IVC funnel? Because now it's bugging me. Now, IVC funnel. Have you heard of that before?
No, I'm waiting for. I'm sitting here.
Here it is. I'm sorry, Vince. I got it. Maybe I'll buy some of your stuff down the road. But IVC, bro. And he was like, "Oh, I'm getting all these massive conversions." And I says, "Oh, I've done it before. Just wasn't called that. In video conversion. How do you get in video conversions now?" There is an interactive way to get in video conversions, right? So imagine, so I'm just laying it out there, y'all, right? But this is the connection that you're making from this conversation that you should be able to go off and make money from right now, right? Connection currency. Anyway, so he says he does this thing. He was getting some crazy conversion rate. And he said, because each step of the funnel is a chance for people to peel off, right? And this is what's being taught right now, right? We got a guy out there right now that's got a business that's making $100 million a year. This is his big thing, right? These kind of funnels. And when I started looking at those in video conversions, and I thought, wait a minute, I've used this before. Remember I was telling you that I was getting a 90% booking rate. It got so bad, so good that I had to stop because I was getting too busy capacity wise.
Mm-hmm.
it was using that perspective, right? In a
Yep.
certain way. So now, okay, so you have a video, you do your thing. Now, if you're doing it live, you're asking people right then
To go
that
by.
you're going to open something for 15 minutes. Hey, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to open up this opportunity for 30 minutes. If you connect or you go by, so let's say you're doing a live Zoom, whatever, you go by within the next 30 minutes, I'll give it to you for 50% off, kind of a thing. That's a live in video
Video
conversion.
conversion.
Now,
Yeah.
if you're doing automated, then you get the software. I got the software, and it was an old software that I had, not some of the new stuff. It's something I bought,
Mm-hmm.
paid for it once, right?
And
Paid
own it
for it
forever.
once, and not
Yep.
one of those. But anyway, there's another one out there that the science of getting clients guy talks about. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
concept. Vince Reed called it something else, made it sound exotic, and then got you into his
Right.
game, right?
Yeah. Create your own intellectual property.
So that's the key, right? So when you're thinking about this, and why we're sharing it is just to Rob's point. I'm not going to keep it to myself. I'm going to test it, right? And then I'm going to see if I can
Mm-hmm.
make money from it. I've developed this this framework. I've been kind of
Okay.
getting big on frameworks now because of you and what Alex Ramosi
Systems.
talks about,
Yeah.
right? So, because I used to just do a collection of things, but now I'm going, here's the framework. It's called
Mm-hmm.
Learn, Create, Get Paid. That's the framework. And people are like,
I love it.
what do you mean? Learn, create, get paid. I said, yeah, whatever you learn, that day you create. By the end of the night, you put it out there in a way that gets you paid. Then I was able to go within this framework. I can take different things that I do now, have done, and bolt them on. It's kind of what
There
you
you
said
go.
earlier. I had all
Mm-hmm.
these different disparate things, but I found that one of them could help that company. But
Mm-hmm.
if they never
Mm-hmm.
see them because they're not packaged in a way that they're not out there buy buttons for you,
Yep.
then they're
And
not going to convert.
everything you're talking about, and I hope y'all are catching this because right, Randy just laid the blueprint for a lot of you all. You're like, but my friends or my family or my people or my circle, right? They don't understand. They don't know. I don't have anybody around me. And the big thing that you want to pay attention to is that today, with how interconnected the world is, with social media, with internet, with all, I mean, the computer that you have in your phone is is a stronger, more powerful computer than the computers that we had in the 90s, right? Like than the iMacs that came out that were all the rave that made Apple the titan it is now. So the fact that you have a smartphone, you have the opportunity to be involved in so many things, right? One of my mentors is Darren Hardy, right? The guy that used to produce
Yeah, I've been
Success
seeing some of his
Magazine.
videos lately,
Exactly, right? He's doing a
some of his
lot of big stuff.
ads.
So and what I've done, one of the things that I've done is because again, I'm in that space where now I'm getting 8-figure, 9-figure mentors because right, I'm in this multiple 6-figure space. I'm trying to get to the 7-figure space. So I'm looking for people that have not only done it, have been successful at it for a long period of time and have the blueprint, right? And one of the interesting things is he's created a couple of things. I took a program that he had last year, and then this year he's got a business masterclass that I'm attending, and then he's also got what's called the Darren Hardy Club. So he kind of took the clubhouse model and brought it to his idea of his business kind of insiders. And so every couple of weeks he has one of his business insiders, somebody who's running an 8-figure, 9-figure, 10-figure business, come in and give a 90, a 60-minute talk on a particular thing. So one of the things I just learned this and we just implemented in my team, right? Just to give you an idea, we sat there and we watched it and it was just a simple idea, right? We
Yeah,
call
it
it
is.
positive impact campaign. But I heard it and I learned it from a guy that runs a $30 billion company. Right. And he explained it and it was like, that makes perfect sense. And basically all it is just something simple. You give everybody on my team, I've got 4 people on my core team. All of us have $50 a month to make somebody, right? One of my core people deals with my team and my vendors, and then the other 3 of us deal with customers, right? So each of us has $50 to just make somebody's life better that's in our ecosystem, that's in our space, right? And we do an internal competition where we are whoever does the best gift, like it's a gift at the end of the year, right? Whoever has the best gift for the quarter and then the most quarters, right? But the whole thing is, it's $50, $200 a month for me. But now my team is making lifelong impacts with
Yeah,
with $50 with,
yeah,
with really cool stuff in the lives of our customers. And it was like I got that from connection that I have to a mentor that has connections to other people.
Yeah.
And so now I'm benefiting from his connections, right? Like these are the types of things that there's no reason for you to feel in 2023 as an entrepreneur. There's no reason for you to have to feel alone because there's too many places where you can actually go get the connections that you need. But this is the one thing that I will tell you. You have to develop the ability to discern between the people you should be dealing with and the people you shouldn't be dealing with.
Yeah, like Elon Musk told a whole bunch of people that when he met Sam Bankman-Fried, he says that guy is FOS, full of shit. he was able to discern, and this guy had a chance to give Elon Musk some serious money, and I think he was real close to taking it, but something in his radar said he was FOS. And I got friends, man, that can spin tails, but I know that's why I never do. There's certain business friends I won't do business with because they're FOS. Exactly. You just know them. And then there's other ones that, that you do business with, but they're not businessy, that their angle is maybe, religious or whatever. It's a different angle, but you got to be able to discern, just like Rob said. Well, how do you develop that, Rob? Is it having a whole bunch of conversations, doing a whole bunch to kind of get into the rooms?
And I think that here's the key. It's not like, first of all, you got to make some mistakes. So first of all, you're not going to be perfect. So just throw that out the window.
You got to pay some stupid taxes, Dave.
Right. You got to pay some stupid taxes. But to be clear, what I'm not saying is that you can't have relationships and make connections with everybody. Right. I'm a big fan of treat everybody wonderfully.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to sort it all out. Right.
So are you a take the meeting guy? Are you I'll take any meeting?
No, and you know how I'm about prioritization, right? I'm not a take the meeting guy, but I am I'll be nice to anybody guy. Now there's certain meetings, like some people will get 15 minutes. Some people will get a half hour. Some people will get an hour. Some people get an hour and a half. Some people get unbounded. Just talk to me as much as you can. But people have to earn those spaces on my calendar.
Gotcha.
But the key is, and I think this is where a lot of people mess up. When you don't have other things fighting for the space on your calendar, don't be acting all sedity like you ain't got time for people. Meet with everybody.
You got time.
Right.
I told somebody the other day, I said, what do you have, more time or money?
That's the whole key, right? And there will come a time, though, when it will flip. And when you're like, oh, don't have time anymore because I have things that I can make money. Like we were just talking about this, me and my team, because we had booked a speaking event and then something happened with the promoter. And so they wound up pushing it. But I was like, we have to cancel that because I have another one. Right. So we got to make sure we get it off the calendar, that we do everything we're supposed to do. Because I got another one for that date that's actually got some money right now. We got the deposit. And so, but we had to have that, internal conversation because we're not just going to drop anybody. We had to make sure that we talked to the person and they were planning on moving both dates and we got it all figured out. But those are good problems to have, right? But don't act like you have those problems before you have them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When I had 2 clients,
that's funny.
I took every meeting I could take because the more people I can meet, I was going to lunches, I was going to networking events. Because meeting people was what I needed to do.
And you hear it too. I was just talking with a woman that wants me to coach her, and in her conversation, it was I kept hearing conflict. Right. So I just simply laid it out. I says, what would you like your business to do for you? Because it was one of those, what you just said, I don't want to get too busy. In other words, you don't want to make too much money. But yet,
find what too busy is.
Busy. Okay, that's a conflict, right? So you start hearing the conflict, the mental conflict. So I says, well, I tell you what, this is the best way to handle a situation like that without offending her by saying, yeah, I hear you, and you sound like you're conflicted. Or what I'm hearing is constant, conflicting information. I says, here's a way to handle it. I says, what would you like your business to do for you? And then work backwards.
There you go.
That's what we'll do. I said, we'll work backwards. I says, we'll say, here's the number. We'll then create the things that go out there and determine if that business can get you that, because you're going to look at your total addressable market, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then you're going to put it in an automated fashion. The other one was, I don't have a lot of time. Because I asked her that, Rob, and this is where some of your work shined off on me, man. It was like, how I've been asking and I've been being asked to do a lot of things lately. And it was like, how badly is the pain? Without saying it like that, I've been like, how urgent? I think one just recently I says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do
There
you
you
want
go.
this problem solved?
Yeah.
What
How
time
badly do you
frame?
want to not have this? Yeah.
Yeah, what time frame? And then kind of some, what are you bringing to the table? What weapons do you have, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get the, oh, it's a 9, but yet if a meeting can't get made, you don't want a meeting the next day. I don't understand
Right.
that.
And
Oh, let's
that's
do a
the whole
meeting
thing.
in end of February. I'm like,
I
why?
tell people, right. I tell people all the time, right? And it's funny because like now that's how my calendar is, where it's like, oh, I can meet you in February, right? Like, but there's stages to this thing, right? And I will tell you this: the the a lot of people are worried about being broke and busy, but you know what's worse? Being broke and not busy.
Let's see if I got this right. Okay, y'all, I'm about to start tripping because did you just hear that? People are worried about being what?
Broke and
Say that
busy.
again. Broke
People
and
are worried
busy.
about being broke and busy,
But what's worse is
is
being
being broke
broke
and
and
not
not
busy.
busy. OMG. If y'all didn't just pick that up, man, if you don't have a satchel right now, picking up that gold. So I wonder if being broke and busy, is it because of the busy work that they're doing they're broke, or they just don't see the connection currency?
See, and the thing about it is most of the people that are broke and quote unquote busy are not actually busy, right? They're preoccupied. There's a difference.
I'm writing that
And
down.
the difference is, right? Generally, when we think about busy, we're thinking about effective. We're thinking about doing stuff that's actually getting things done, that's important, that's making moves. Most of the people that we deal with, and I went through this experience too. So I'm not preaching from the ivory tower. I've walked this ground. I know how you feel. I was in that situation where I was like, well, I can't do that. That doesn't make enough money. I can't do that. That doesn't make enough money. And then I realized that being broke and not busy sucked. And that's when I had 3 part-time jobs and I was making meetings and I was doing
That's
everything else
incredible.
because being broke and just being able to sit there and not have nothing to do except for stuff that you supposed to do that ain't making you no money
Oh my
and
gosh.
and and feeling that crushing weight of when is this ever going to change made me say, if I'm gonna be broke, I'm gonna be busy and broke so that I ain't got to be broke for much longer.
Man,
And
I'm going to
from
use
that
that in an
space,
ad. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to come on. Y'all, listen. You hear when you hear us, right? And you're made the connection with the two business guys as we mastermind on things. You hear something, use it. Go out there and try it, right? Because we're basically saying we don't believe that there's a degree of scarcity with what we talk about. We fully share with you some of these ideas as we work with businesses, we work with stuff that we do as we and spin up and create stuff. You hear something like broke and busy is one thing, but being broke and not busy is worse. Now he didn't say it like that, but that's how I'm going to say it on this ad.
there you
I'm
go.
literally going to come on and says, "Are you broke and busy?" Well, let me tell you what's worse. And ads like that have been playing very, very well, right? Because
No,
it
I
don't
agree
sound
with
like an
you.
ad. I'm gonna say,
Right,
but being broke and not busy is worse. But we're gonna
right,
solve that now. Click here and
exactly.
just pay
So
off.
what we're gonna do is teach you how to make your busyness get you unbroke, right? And that's something that I think is really important for people to realize, right? Like there is another direction. And I mean, right when I started this business, this is the first time that I didn't have another job and start a business, right? And there was a whole different sense of urgency with it. So I felt like I needed to be making money right now. And I didn't understand the cycle and the timeline and all the rest of that. And then what was funny was, so I went and got myself busy and I got myself busy making money, right? I was already on pace to be 6 figures and I was miserable,
Get yourself
right?
busy
So now
making
I was
money.
not
Mm.
broke and busy, right? So now I'm not broke and busy, but I was still miserable because the type of busy that I was wasn't what I wanted. But here's the interesting thing. I couldn't see that
Mm.
until I got not broke and busy. Because while I was
Mm.
broke and busy, all I wanted was to not be broke no more. And
Mm.
while I was broke and not busy, all I wanted was to be busy.
Mm. And there it is. That's the framework, right? So what are you creating for yourself? It's almost like a physics move, right? I've been doing some work and thinking about physics and how it relates to business and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I couldn't help but that body in motion stays in
Tends to
that
stay
body
in
in
motion.
motion.
Inertia. Yep.
It puts you in key, put you in position, and I'm gonna go right loop it right back to make a connection that can lead to currency. Right now,
Exactly.
again, I'm using kind of the sanitized words, right? I could
Right,
say the
right.
meeting that you have can make you money. I
Mm-hmm.
literally said to
Yeah.
somebody the other day, they want to have a meeting, and I says, in order to, this is how I put it, in order for us to monetize this meeting, give me
Mm-hmm.
3 things that you're looking to do.
Right.
Right now, get this. So this is what I did, and this man, this is a closing opportunity that is again 90+% close rate. So
Mm-hmm.
before the meeting,
Mm-hmm.
she had given me the 3 things, and then I asked those questions. How badly is it? 9 out of 10, blah blah blah. Right. So I went and looked at all the things that she was talking about and solved them before the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Get
And
this,
now, go ahead.
sent it
Then
to
what happened?
her in an interactive video,
Oh.
right? Using the Vince Reed approach, right? An interactive video. So in other words, I answered the 3 questions with value, right? You hear this all the time.
Yes.
Give value, give value. And it's like, well, what does that look like? Well, in this
Mm-hmm.
case, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. Now, each one of those were blueprints. Now, if you want to go and says, well, I got engineers, I'll bolt this stuff together. But the thing was, now that solidified and they were ready to pay.
Your value in
There
their
it
minds.
is.
Now, and that so Randy just dropped on y'all, just FYI. That was like knowledge bomb. Gold nuggets, pick it up. Make sure you get it. Because what he said is make sure that you are delivering value before you show up.
Before you
Um
show up.
and kind of like he just went to graduate school on you. I'm gonna bring you back to the 101 stage real quick and give you the answer to that original question that we kind of were talking about is how do you develop that discernment? You have enough meetings that you start to
Mm-hmm.
learn what type of meeting this is. You start to see whether this is something where I can be immediately valuable, whether this is something where I can give just the value of my presence and my perspective, or whether this is something where this is going to be a long term, I can probably give value multiple times. You start seeing those, but the beauty of it is you start learning to not go into the meeting needing anything, but
Mm-hmm.
rather go into the meeting feeling, moving through your abundance to just be able to pour into and to give value to those people that you interact with. Because here's the key thing about business, right? Everybody talks about is who you know. And then even in this conversation is who you know, right? That's not what we're saying, right? The currency of connections is not about who do you know. The currency of connections is about who knows you and knows your value.
Yeah.
Because when people know you and know your value, you're getting talked about in rooms that you never enter. But
See,
value gets
Rob's got it.
extracted from those rooms that you never enter.
And get this. Now, if somebody out there should be digging into what I just gave you and breaking it apart and seeing what it really is. Think about it. I didn't have to show up to the meeting. I didn't have to drive anywhere. I didn't have to go in there into a room. They say, well, he's 5'9". I only talk with people 6 foot. I didn't have to deal with any of that. And get this. Now, I didn't have to have a meeting with them, and then they like me or not like me or whatever, or see value or not value, and then they want to turn you on to somebody else. I did one thing that they can now send to other people. I can convince the higher ups without having to show up. Do y'all
And
see
now
the play here?
Randy's there. I know a guy.
I learned that from Rob. That's the efficiency factor,
Yes, sir.
right? And when you start looking at the stuff that Rob talks about in how it all starts with leadership, right? Now, if we metaphor, what do you mean by leadership? Well, how are you leading your actions? How are you leading your mind
Mhm.
space? How are you leading you get it? Not just your people, but these leadership principles are
Yeah.
applicable to the things you do,
Mhm. Yep.
solopreneurs. Are you
Because you
feeling what I'm
start by
talking about?
leading yourself.
Anyway,
Start by leading yourself before you can ever lead others. Now you getting deep now. So the
I'm gonna leave
ultimately,
y'all alone. This is the end of the video, so I'm gonna have to make a TikTok
uh,
out of this so it gets into the
yeah,
front.
yeah. Ultimately, the thing that you want to realize, from what we're talking about here today is that it's so important to understand that business is all about relationships. Every time, right? Zig Ziglar said this is one of my favorite quotes. You can get anything you want in life, anything
Mm.
that you want in life, if you help enough people get what they want.
Oh my gosh, he did say that, right? And then we've heard that said a certain many ways. If you want to become a millionaire, make people millionaires,
Exactly.
right?
And that is the currency of connections.
That's it, y'all. That's the show. We said it. Go out there, do those things. Break apart what we talked about. Bring your satchel because there's gold on the floor. If you don't, well, somebody else gets it. I hope y'all enjoy it, and let's talk again next time.
See you next time, everybody.